Hello, everyone, and welcome to all our viewers and listeners to our second Claro Enterprise Solutions Cafecito Podcast, a new podcast series from Claro Enterprise Solutions where we take a short break out of our daily responsibilities to have a nice cup of coffee, a cafecito, to engage on a great conversation among friends and peers to explore all things of interest to channel partners, master agents, and technology providers. For those who don't know me, my name is Eduardo Cano, Director of Business Intelligence and member of the marketing team here at Claro Enterprise Solutions. And it is my pleasure to be your host today in our second Cafecito podcast. Let's all please welcome Patrick Verdugo, our IoT and OTT Offer Manager here at Claro Enterprise Solutions. Patrick, thank you for joining us today. It is a pleasure to have you in our podcast. How are you today, my friend?
Good. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this opportunity. I'm looking forward to sharing some thoughts with our channel partners and our technology partners as well.
Fantastic, fantastic. Patrick, let's jump right on it. Patrick, now that things are slowly getting back to normal, how can channel partners be more strategic or leverage digital IoT solutions like fleet management, for instance?
Well, I think one of the things that is changing as a result of the pandemic being almost over is the ability to go and visit with people in person. And that's going to make a big difference in terms of making sales. At the end of the day, people buy from people, not from companies, if you know what I mean.
Right.
So what I was thinking, it would be good to prepare our channel partners to sell our fleet management solution, but to address it not from a technical perspective, but from a fleet manager concern perspective, so we can talk about the business and what's really important to them to try to help them achieve greater sales.
Fantastic. And I think you just hit it right on the nail when it comes to having a business conversation with those clients, right? To be able to promote this type of great solutions that have great value when it comes to IoT and the technology behind it, correct?
Correct. That's very true. And at the end of the day, when you do a feature function comparison between two competing products, you're looking at a menu. It doesn't really tell you anything. I think it's much more effective if you drive the conversation around the concerns of fleet managers and what it can do for their business. So we'll jump in if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure, by all means, go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things in chatting with fleet managers, and we have quite a few customers on our platform, we tried to focus on things like what is in their minds, what is worrying them, what is challenging them, what are they interested in. And one of the things that typically bubbles to the surface very high on their list of priorities is the ability to maximize their resources. And their resources really are three things: their vehicles, their assets, and their drivers, right? Yeah. From a vehicle perspective, we can provide information relative to maintenance and mileage to determine the longevity and health of the fleet and help them manage that fleet so that it can be essentially as effective as it possibly can in terms of generating revenue. We can predict purchasing needs based on historical data, and we can help identify shippers or receivers that detain drivers excessively and enforce detention surcharges where applicable. Not all customers allow for, obviously, detention surcharges, but this is a differentiator. This is something that we do that many of the other fleet management solutions do not. The second thing in terms of resources is assets. So the ability to monitor the location, not just the truck, not just the trailer. We can manage a truck and a trailer as a single unit. We can, and in the industry, the truck is called the tractor. The trailer is obviously the thing the tractor pulls.
Right.
So we can GPS track the tractors. We can GPS track the trailers. And as an example, in the food distribution business, sometimes they fill a refrigerated trailer with goods. They take it to the customer site and they drop it there. And they leave the refrigeration system running to preserve temperature, but they want to know where their trailers are. So we can track it even while it's sitting there at the customer's location. The third thing in terms of resources is drivers. And one of the things that can help maximize resources is make sure that the drivers have good driving behavior
Mm-hmm.
that the fleet manager can monitor things like speed and harsh driving, harsh starts and stops and turns, panic, crash events, seatbelt usage, and more. So by training those drivers, it's
Mm-hmm.
even possible to lower insurance rates. The other thing they can do, and this is being adopted quite a bit, is to instantly reward or train drivers with custom alerts. And when you bring in new drivers, you can incentivize them to opt into safety technology for extra benefits or for additional compensation. So you can even make it competitive. You can rank your drivers, and if you want to exploit a competitive environment, you can. You don't have to, but it's an option, right?
It's an incentive. It sounds to me that that it allows a smoother operation and at the same time full visibility at all times. Am I right?
Absolutely. That is absolutely true.
Phenomenal, phenomenal. I think that bringing IoT devices and bringing IoT digital solutions into operations is allowing to keep up with new technologies, and at the same time, it is a possibility for these fleet managers, individuals that work in this industry, to be able to leverage with organizations like Claro Enterprise Solutions, where we thought of this as incentives, but not only that, but to truly enhance the business. Am I right?
Absolutely. The other thing that you have to take into account is that the technology is not just the IoT device for fleet,
Right.
but we extend that with other technologies. So we add things like cameras, road-facing cameras, a driver cam and a dash cam. So we can keep
Fantastic.
track of the drivers, make sure they're not driving drowsy, that they're not excessively tired, that they're not driving distracted, that they're not texting while driving. It sounds a little big brotherish, but at the end of the day, it's all about protecting the driver and protecting the public. So that's really important. Another aspect that I think often comes up is to improve fleet efficiency,
Right.
because sometimes companies have a ton of vehicles,
Mm-hmm.
and it's difficult to determine the ideal fleet size to accommodate the demand.
Right.
So by giving visibility into information like route information, route performance, driver performance, you can ideally size your fleet to accommodate demand. And that can have a significant impact. We can
Absolutely.
also look at things like assess and compare fuel costs by vehicle. So maybe we have some older trucks that are really inefficient, and we have some newer trucks that are really, really efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a good idea to evaluate or consider replacing older trucks with newer trucks just on fuel savings alone, and perhaps even maintenance savings. The other thing is you can plan routes based on the most profitable outcome. So by gaining that visibility
Mm-hmm.
using fleet management, you could essentially reswizzle the routes and make them more efficient.
That's
The
fantastic.
Yeah, it is, and it is a very popular feature, a set of features that fleet managers focus on. The other one is secure recurring revenue. There's a lot of opportunities that often are not leveraged because fleet managers feel that they can't do any value add. And one of the ways that we can help them add value to the services they provide is to provide transparency, for example, through location alerts. In other words, tell the customer, my driver is 10 minutes away. Your product is only 10 minutes away. In other words, where my driver is, and send you an alert automatically, electronically, send you an SMS message. The driver is about to arrive so that you can be prepared to receive your materials and be expeditious, and this can help. This is a quality of service. In another example,
Mm-hmm.
adding temperature monitoring to refrigerated or frozen goods. You know that there's FDA rules.
Absolutely.
Temperature things that are frozen or refrigerated cannot go out of range. That could even cause illness. So it's a food safety thing, right? We can add temperature monitoring to refrigerated trailers and or trucks. Because remember, our solution not only covers the really big 18 wheelers, but it also covers fleets of any size, including refrigerated trucks, including service vehicles, for example, pool service companies, package delivery companies,
Right.
just use your imagination. A fleet of utility vehicles, a fleet of electrical service vehicles or plumbing company,
Right.
all of those are target customers, and the fleet can be literally from 5 vehicles to 5,000 vehicles. Our platform is extremely scalable. And
Fantastic.
also from a recurring revenue perspective, the ability to provide extra security. For example, one customer was shipping very expensive goods, and they want to make sure those goods don't disappear. So they want
Full
extra
visibility at all
security.
times, right?
Right. So an example of using extra security is to add a camera or add a lock to the trailer, right? So those are options that can be explored for that particular use case.
Fantastic. Well, Patrick, we thank you so much for all your great insight, and we really appreciate all this great expertise and on this fascinating topic. And I think what as a good takeaway is to invite all of our friends and peers in the channels and industry and the channels community to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to share even more insight and a little more details on the flexibility on this particular IoT fleet management solution that we have. And I'm sure it will be available in Ariel and the whole team, correct?
Yes, I look forward to supporting channel partners, and they can call on us. They can even arrange for me to help them pitch the product or explain any of the features or functions or anything else that's necessary.
Fantastic. Well, we appreciate it once again. Thank you for all your insight and for being an invitee and a key speaker here in our second Claro Enterprise Solutions Cafecito Podcast. Let me conclude our podcast with a bit of music as we keep our theme of Cafecito Coffee Lounge atmosphere. And we look forward to hosting you in future episodes as well, so we can discuss even further and more details on other IoT solutions. Okay?
Sounds great. Thanks for inviting me.
My pleasure. Thank you, Patrick. And here we go. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Take care.